You know, you have to admit, the BMW GS has had a huge impact on motorcycling as we know it today. To many, it's considered the original adventure bike, and while I'll let you guys argue about that in the comments, the simple matter of fact is when people think adventure bike, they think GS. This year marks 40 years since the birth of the GS, and to celebrate, BMW has released an updated version of its R1250 GS and GSA, complete with a special limited edition 40 years of GS, which wears the same colour scheme as the original R100 GS Bumblebee, one of the bikes that started it all. Let's take a closer look. You know, I can never get over, or I'm always so surprised at just how fast they make these big GS's. You know, it's 100 kilowatts and 143 Newton meters. I was thinking about that, you know, it wasn't that long ago that super sports were making that kind of power. You know, it's pretty incredible and sort of particularly weird to have that much grunt on such a big motorcycle. Like, it's so tall and commanding, yet supremely fast. So it is no surprise to me that they haven't added any more power for the 2022 model year, but rather focused on electronic updates, because 100 kilowatts and 143 Newton meters, man, that is that is truly enough power. I'm sure they'll add some more in the coming years. That's how it goes. But it does not need it. I'm on the 40 years edition version, which is spec'd up nicely. It's got everything, including some option 712 niceties, which is what they call their line of accessories. It's got like this beautiful billet aluminium head covers and stuff like that. Really nice looking thing. The big changes for this year are, as I said, electronic. So there's now dynamic traction control as standard, some more advanced cornering ABS, and some other little updates here and there. And of course the styling is new. This one wearing the Bumblebee yellow and black colour scheme as seen on the original R100 GS from 1986, I think, or 1988, can't remember. But yeah, I think it looks grouse. So we're going to do a bit of road riding now, and then some dirt bike riding, or some off-road riding, which is going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So I'll catch up with you in a bit. These big GS's, I don't know how they do it. It's some black magic or something, because they are so impossibly versatile and capable in such a variety of conditions. It blows my mind every time. We're with Miles Davis, who's sort of a world-renowned GS rider. If you've ever seen some of the crazy GS Safari promo material from BMW, it was probably him. And he rides one of these things like it's a CRF 250R, so I'll definitely try and catch up with him today to get him to talk to you about this thing. But yeah, I'm just so blown away by how it pretends to be a smaller bike than it is. I mean, it's a huge bloody bike. It's massive. And it's not particularly light by any means. It's still a lot of weight no matter what you do, especially when you've got the GSA with the bigger fuel tank and stuff. It's tall and large and commanding, yet somehow feels small and flickable, and is grunty like you wouldn't believe. I talk about it a bit, but it's something that's always exciting, is riding these boxer motors. I mean, a lot of you guys would have ridden a boxer, but to those who haven't, it's unlike any other type of engine, because I suppose it's where it gets its name. The horizontally opposed engine, the pistons are punching out left and right, obviously opposing each other, and that creates a force to left and right. So when you accelerate or when you rev, you're actually feeling the bike move left and right beneath you. The center of gravity is shifting, and so more than anything, it just creates a feeling that you don't get from other motorcycles, and some people like it, some people don't, but it's certainly an experience. I'm beginning to notice on these tighter corners and stuff that the steering geometry is such that you really want to apply quite a lot of steering input, both counter steering and mid-corner input. And I sort of found that once I figured that out, the bike became more agile. Yeah, don't be afraid to push these things around a bit. The electronics look after you. Suspension moving a lot there under acceleration. There's a lot of travel. It's well known that GS's are great wheelie bikes, and I've just been told that it's a little bit friendlier for wheeliers now. The Dynamic Pro mode, if you tweak the settings a little bit, will let you do some mad wheelies without turning the traction control off completely, which is really cool. And as I said, yeah, dynamic traction control and more advanced integral ABS Pro in BMW language, which is advanced cornering ABS, are both fitted as standard on the 2022 models, or this model. Also, I should mention that we now have a new LED headlight which swivels, so yeah, it's a cornering light, I suppose. And of course, as standard, things like heated grips, cruise control, basically anything you could poke a stick at, as we've come to expect from the R1250 GS nameplate. We'll make light work of this charade, I think. He's not coming back for more. Alright, so we've just seen our first sign of dirt, so let's have a toggle through these rider modes. I've been in road, obviously. I've got Dynamic Pro, which is higher performance, sort of like road, but higher performance. Enduro, that's your dirt setting, and Enduro Pro for the more hardcore stuff. That really lets you get a lot more slip. I think I'll stick with Enduro, see how we go. Alright, let's get out of here. Dirt! Better stand up too, eh? Oh man, that is a lot of grip on a dirt road. That is... Yeah, I've just found out something pretty cool about the rider modes. Because there's much deeper settings now, in Dynamic Pro mode, which is like a road-based mode, it's the mode I'm in now actually, you can now tailor it so you can still you can still wheelie out of corners, you can still leave a black mark, you can still back it in to corners. Now I don't do a lot of backing it into corners or
you know, leaving black lines left, right and centre, but I do like to wheelie out a corner, so that's pretty cool. And you know, the reason why that's significant is because normally you'd have to do that in like an enduro mode. You know, obviously that'll let you do whatever you like, but the flip side of that is it won't control the slide. So if you hit a random wet bit of road and you peg it, you're on your ass, son. So I think that's awesome to have like a hoony middle ground where it's still going to protect you, it's still going to control the slide, but it'll let you be a bit of a hero wheeling out of corners and stuff. So I just thought I'd let you know about that, because it's a big part of the BMW ownership experience, I think, is the technology suite and understanding it. And it's just incredible the way this bike lets you, this bike puts the power down on a dirt road. Like, this should be pretty slippery. I mean, I've got 143 Newton meters under my right wrist right now. And it just puts it down somehow. I don't know how it's quite possible. I'm starting to learn that, you know, you really want to steer these things on the rear wheel, i.e. on the back brake and on the accelerator. It just stops the front wheel from diving in. Just get, there you go. Stay really, you want to stay really center over the bike and control it on that rear wheel, and it makes life a lot easier. As you can probably tell, I'm not a big off-road adventure bike rider. In fact, I haven't spent much time off-road on these big things, so I'm just learning as we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have BMW GS aficionado Miles Davis with me, probably the only guy cool enough to live up to that name. The reason why I wanted to talk to you is most of the changes are electronic. So can you tell me about how those changes make this a better motorcycle?
Yeah, well look, there are a range of tweaks to the way the mode system works. Every new model gets small refinements, but I guess the big ones that I notice on this model is the ability to customize your Dynamic Pro and your mode suite in general. So when you get to the Pro modes, you can go in there and fine-tune things a lot more than you could before. And you've got more choices of modes now, and you select the ones that you want available on your dash for any given ride. So you might drop rain if it's sunny and add Enduro Pro. You've got a fair degree of freedom to set the bike up exactly how you want it.
So it's mostly customization.
Yeah, look, I mean, there will be other little things in there. It's always getting better. The power feels better. The suspension feels better. But when I first hopped on it and looked at what I had and what my normal setup was, I could see instantly that there was the ability to do things I've been wanting to do on this model that I can't on the previous one. Because
you've pretty much pushed these things to their limits and have been doing for years, so I suppose someone like you would be able to tell the differences. And yeah,
that's right. I've been very involved from the air-cooled models through to the first water-cooled models at the product launches and training events, and it's really exciting to see. I mean, the water-cooled model in 2013, it changed.
Game changer.
Game changer.
Yeah.
And now there's refinements coming every model update, and you know, 40 years, they're obviously going to do some nice tweaks when it comes to 40 years of GS. So yeah, I really like what they've done to the suite of modes and your ability to fine tune it. And it's not so complicated that you've got so much adjustment you don't know where to be.
You're not writing code.
Yeah, that's right. There's not 20 adjustments, there's 3, and you know what you want, and then you can just fine tune it to suit the type of ride you're doing and the type of rider you are.
It's kind of hard to imagine how you could really improve on this thing. You know, it's got 143 Newton meters of torque. It's insanity to me in an adventure bike like this. But what saves it is that electronic suite.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I think the power character of the Boxer motor, it's just amazing. You know, some people ride it for the first time and fall in love with it. Others maybe like 4-cylinder bikes better, but definitely the Boxer motor, even though it was first started in 1923, the latest incarnation, it rides so nice, and that torque makes the bike so easy and nice to ride. You know, and now they've got the shift cam. You've got more torque, mid-range is still strong, and you've got more top end. So, you know, it just keeps getting better and better.
I love with the Box, you know, it's so desperately smooth because of the advancement over time, but I just love when you first turn it on and it goes,
It
you know,
crackles.
I'm
and
on,
shakes.
I'm
Yeah,
ready to
yeah,
go.
Yeah. They've got character, that's for sure. I mean, I still love the air-cooled ones, but when I ride an older bike and then when I jump on one of these, it's like, wow. It's smooth, fuel efficient. You know, this tank will get you up to 600 k's of fuel. And when you're riding in the outback, that's a huge positive. And you know, the types of adjustments you have at your fingertips really enhance the ride experience, whether it be comfort or performance. You know, the GSA is a pretty awesome bit of kit.
So remind me, so guys, this is the R1250 GSA, which is the more adventure oriented one. What are the big differences between the GS and the GSA?
Yeah, good question. Over years, the standard things have been bigger fuel tank on the GSA. So it's got 30 where the GS has 20. Both have good range, but obviously 50% more when you're carrying 30 litres
Yeah,
of
that's
juice.
substantial.
Usually they have bigger screen, more weather protection, the tank and the fairing. When you're riding in the cold or the wet, this is the bike people want to be on. Because we ride in the snow at times, and the weather protection you get from the front protection on this bike is amazing. You get extra suspension travel. So this bike has around 30mm more travel than the normal GS. You also get more crash bars, spotlights, you know, the typical things like the more crash protection and luggage racks. But big difference, I'd say, for most people is the tank and the weather protection.
Just a long distance hauler.
It eats up the Ks. You can do 1,000 Ks in a day and feel pretty fresh at the end.
Yeah, right.
Not many bikes let you do that.
No way. I'm noticing this has lots of the option 719 stuff on it, which looks pretty cool on the covers and stuff like that, and the seat I noticed.
Yep.
So it's all new, isn't it?
Yeah, that's new, where you could either factory option or accessorize your bike with some pretty trick CNC, you know, blingy bits for your bike. I've seen some mirrors on some of the bikes, the valve covers, and there's a whole suite of bits and pieces where you can customize. And obviously people like doing that to their bikes.
Yeah, particularly GS owners, hey?
Yeah. They like to have the gear.
All right, well, what's on for the rest of the day?
Well, we're here in Warburton, beautiful spot. There's a big mountain up there called Mount Donabuang, and we're going to take this awesome dirt road, turns to bitumen in places, and cut through towards Marysville. It's called the Akron Way. It's one of my favourites.
Yeah.
And from there, we'll skirt around, look at getting another couple of bits of dirt, some more twisty bitumen, and we'll pull back into Melbourne this afternoon.
Happy days. Thanks for talking, Miles.
Cheers.
All right, well, this looks like it might get a little chaotic. You know what they say? You know what they say? What could possibly go wrong? Oh my God. You know, probably the incline is not shown on the camera, but let me tell you, this is getting steep and rough quick smart. Hell yeah. Miles Davis pulled me aside earlier and he suggested I take corners from to right-handers from further far left, as far left as I can go, he suggested. So I'm going to take that on board because, you know, it's not every day you get rider training from the best GS rider in the world, arguably, because that guy knows his stuff, I'm telling you, and I don't. Having fun though. And you know, every kilometre that goes by, a new piece seems to sort of click in. And so, like everything, it's just practice.
Well, thanks for coming along on our first ride of the updated BMW R1250 GS. We should say before we go that pricing is set at $23,170 for the base variant. However, the 40-year anniversary edition you see here comes at a fairly significant premium at $32,590. For more in-depth pricing and specification details for the entire BMW GS lineup, head to infomoto.com.au. Oh, and if you haven't already, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel to make sure you never miss a new video. Cheers.